Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see the troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name.
Welcome to the Warchant Man Cave Show, and I am joined, as always, by Jeff Cameron, ESPN Radio, 97.9, 3 to 6, Monday through Friday, and pretty much been all over ESPN quite a bit the last couple of days.
Unfortunately, actually.
For the wrong reasons, and we'll get into that later. We are sponsored by these guys. Look at this, and we've been pretty good. We haven't eaten it all yet. Jimmy John's, Freaky Good, Freaky Fast, Jeff. They have 3 locations. I didn't know they had that many.
There's one right now on Gaines, buddy, right there.
Yeah, Gaines.
Walk down there all the time.
Pensacola and Tennessee Street, and they're open until 3 a.m. Great place to go get your tailgating needs beforehand and go over there. And
3 a.m., really?
They're open till.
They're not catering to college students or anything like that, are they? Yeah.
No.
3 a.m.
Yeah,
who's hungry at 3 a.m.? Sure. Yeah, I got you.
Idea. So, yeah, they will be busy this weekend, no doubt about it. And boy, I don't know. You have a beer. I'm beerless. What can we do about that?
Oh, look at this.
Thank goodness. Caitlin from Corner Pocket is here.
Hey
beautiful.
Guys, y'all thirsty? Can I grab you anything?
You know, I'll double down. I'll have a Maduro Brown, if you don't mind.
A Maduro Brown. I'm going to go with the Narragansett, which is a...
look at you. Well played, Gene. Well played.
Yes. I'm sure, I don't know if they have that at the Corner Pocket, but they typically do.
Most all things at the Corner Pocket. They definitely have that, and they've also got a spectacular display of televisions like you're at Vegas.
Oh, the Vegas Ball. We'll talk about that in the bar some. You're right. They do have the Vegas Ball, and they have some pretty good libations there. Now, I hate to start out with a buzzkill, but it's the elephant in the room. We can't just not talk about it.
Sure.
News came down. It always happens on Wednesday. What is it about Wednesday? It's Dark Wednesday.
It is dark. It's unfortunate. I blame Ira.
Is it because you taped the...
the headline show that Warchant's a part of.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you very much. You know, I mean, Ira from Warchant's there, and it's a 3-man show, but I blame the Warchant segment of that show more than most. And so, really, I can't blame
why you say that. Why on Warchant?
Ira seems to be the guy. I mean, I don't know. It's always followed him. So,
Ira.
yeah, he's great. He was a great hire. I mean, he's a wonderful rider, but he's an albatross around the neck.
Wow.
I mean that lovingly.
We got to do a minute or two of some serious stuff. And I got to say, initially, when I heard about this, at first, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is a college student uttering profanity. This is ridiculous. Why are people even upset about this thing? But the more, I get it. The modern age, with the way things are, he's a visible athlete. They're going to play this to death in the media. It's going to be all over social media. And the context, I think, is important here. Had it been some other swear words, it didn't have the sexual connotation.
There's a misogynistic element to what he said.
There's the Title IX thing going on. It's his history of the investigation last year. I think, all being said, at the end of the day, begrudgingly, I kind of agree. I don't like it, but I think FSU had to do what they did.
Well, I think there's a couple things here. I don't think FSU helped themselves by even acknowledging this early on. If you were going to say, as you did, that, hey, it's just a college kid cursing in the students' union, what the hell do we care, let's just move on, then that's the way you would have handled it. You wouldn't have talked about talking it behind the closed doors and the need to consult and all that, because once the media smells blood in today's day and age,
starts in the water.
They're going to go with it. And then the headline reads FSU mulling over decision, and now that gets repopulated over and over again. So if you want to put something to bed, you don't even hardly acknowledge that it exists. But they didn't do that. And then secondarily, yeah, it's most unfortunate, and I don't want to absolve Jameis Winston of everything here, but I get tired of the pitchfork media and the admonishment of kids who are 20 saying stupid things in front of their friends on a dare to be part of an internet meme. It is partly what he said, how he said it, where he said it, and also the current culture, right? I mean, we're dealing with a lot of fans currently dealing with how they feel about their football heroes, both in the NFL and in college. And not to compare what Jameis said to some of the heinous things you're reading about and seeing in the NFL currently, but all of that adds up. And moreover, and this is the part where we agree completely, you got to do better, man. This is the 5th time. I mean, how many times do we have to have the conversation, or does he have to be told, you, unfortunately, fair or not, are looked upon differently. You're viewed differently, and that sucks for him. And it wasn't that way 10 years ago. And if we had followed the elite athletes of the time back then, would they have had these same missteps? Perhaps. But we wouldn't have known about it because Twitter didn't exist. And you and I know a lot of guys that came through this program that are heralded as heroes and wonderful players, Hall of Famers, who said and did dumb things on a regular basis. We witnessed it. Might have even been there a few times when they occurred. But the thing has changed. The climate has changed. It's all different now. And I hate it for him and for others. I look back now. Johnny Manziel a year ago, brutalized in the press. Did he say dumb things?
To parties.
Sure. He said dumb things, but again, it was documented, right? And, hey, you're a Heisman winner. You can't talk like that. I think it's hard. I think it's really hard for kids that get thrown into the spotlight, especially kids that come from a small town or kids that haven't had the same, I guess, exposure to the press as maybe some others. It can be very difficult to wrap your mind around what that is and what that means. And he's struggling with it still. And I know this, Gene, and we'll get off of this and move on to good stuff. But I know this. The FSU fan base, many of them are finally just absolutely exhausted. It's their hands in the air.
I'm shocked at some of them that go, get rid of them. We don't want them.
Well, that's dumb.
But what's ridiculous is 2 weeks from now they will say that when they get to that college football playoff and FSU is going to play, if it happens that way and they're playing Oregon, not a single person is going to say, well, I wish we didn't have Jameis Winston on the team.
No, they sure were cheering at 14-0 last year.
Yeah, it's funny how that is.
You know, it works both ways. Look, you want the kid to learn from it. You need him to learn from it. He has to learn from it. He's costing himself millions of dollars. But at the end of the day,
just go to class, eat, drink, go to practice, play football, just for 3 more months.
Any thought that he was ever coming back?
Why have we kept beating that horn for years? He was never coming back. If there's any doubt now, you know he's not coming back.
You're treated and followed like a professional athlete anyhow.
You're not being paid for it.
Yeah,
so
might as well go on and get paid.
Crab legs, sorry. Now that we're going to go lighthearted and have some fun, which we normally do on the Man Cave Show, let's go to the unmentionables. We're going to mention them, guys.
They're discussing the heavy-hearted issues. Nicely done.
Wow,
Old school. That's
I
from
like
the show.
that. Well done.
Well done,
they
guys.
planned ahead.
They do. It is Clemson week after all, damn it.
Let's talk about that,
That was the jumping-off point last year, buddy.
Being the old guys, we've had some. This has become actually a pretty good rivalry.
Great rivalry. About the best in the conference.
And without a doubt, best in the conference
awesome.
for football.
Sure.
I mean, but in terms of Florida State, it's always been Miami, Florida for years and years and years.
But Miami's fairly irrelevant.
Well, that's what I was going to say. For the last 10 years, Miami's been going down the tubes. Clemson's been getting better.
Yeah, and they're consistently
and there's so
good.
much on the line in this game. It's not just you lose this game, you may be potentially out of the ACC championship in one game.
It's a devastating loss. That's why the suspension is a problem, beyond just the obvious. And, you got to win this game. And I think this, Gene, I think it's good for the conference. It's good for us to have an in-conference rival to replace Miami, which is just doddering about and middling through on a weekly basis. You need another focal point and a national media darling. You know, they won a BCS Bowl last year, and that was part of what the ACC could trumpet. A national champion, 2 BCS Bowl champions, that's a big deal. So kudos to Clemson as much as we make fun of them, but it's good to have a rival.
Yeah, and it really, to me it started back in '88. I mean, let's face it, that was one of the greatest, first of all, you had the greatest trick play in the history of college football. Is there any doubt?
It is all-timer. Yeah, it is all-time.
And what I even write, it gets kind of overshadowed by that, but I mean, Deion calling the return and doing what he did.
That's actually my favorite. That's better than the punt Ruski to me. I love that too. Calling it, pointing out. Yeah,
and then
it's
the way
an
he did
all-timer.
it, and then now they cut it off on the clip because I remember being there, and he does this thing in the end zone to the Clemson fan and just gets pummeled with ice and beer cans and everything else.
They weren't pleased.
No, they weren't. But he just was soaking it up. That's what's beautiful about it.
He wasn't afraid. He wasn't bashful. No, he earned the reputation. But it was one of those. That was part of it, right? That was why you remember Deion the way you do. Yeah. Coming through in the biggest of stages, or on the biggest of stages, doing what he did that day.
Going Babe Ruth and calling the shot.
Also, Peter Warwick's game for the ages as the sun went down, where he had over 400 yards of total offense, returning kicks and everything else. He was incredible.
And let's not forget Dustin Hopkins a few years ago.
55, yeah, that was huge. And it was a miracle we were even in that game. If it hadn't been for Dabo Swinney's horrific coaching, we would not. I mean, they're running the ball right up the gut.
10 yards of carry and then throwing it up the ground.
Let's throw it up. Let's go 5 wide and chuck it in the red zone there, buddy. Yeah, to Xavier Rhodes, right? Was it? Yeah.
Well, let's see, like Mr. Rogers. Let's open the door and see who's going to come through here. Hey! This is our intern, Katie. Hey, welcome to the Man Cave Show.
All right. See, we're keeping it just loose here, I guess.
Yep, absolutely.
Katie, how are you? Good to see you.
All right, Mr. Rogers, he'd sit there and have the segment.
Can we do this all the time where we just have women rolling through the door while we're talking about football? This show becomes the true Man Cave Show, right?
That's what we're working on it now.
Yeah, there you go, Gene.
All right, well, that would conclude segment 1 of the Man Cave Show.
No more women walking through the door.
I don't know. This is segment 1. We'll see for segment 2. Maybe we'll have a girl behind the bar for segment 2.
Here we go. Let's just be totally non-PC. Next up, scantily clad women rolling through the door any moment now. Good times.
All right, we'll be right back on the Man Cave Show.
Jimmy John's?
Jimmy John's here.
What took you so long?
Jimmy John, freaky fast delivery.
I love the man in uniform.
Welcome back to the Warchant Man Cave Show, and we are sponsored by Jimmy John's. They are freaky fast. And this is the bar segment, which is brought to you by Corner Pocket Bar.
My favorite segment of the show is the
of course, the bar. Of course
absolutely.
it is. And where Jeff Cameron will be with Tom Lang, 3 to 6 on Friday,
That's
broadcasting
right,
live. So come on over to Corner Pocket, Jeff.
Please join
check
us.
Jeff out. Have some cold ones, and then you can hang around for the Rigsby Band. They got a live band Friday night.
Doing it up, big party.
Out there. And then Saturday, you got the Vegas Wall.
Yeah, if you can't go to the
Vegas
game
Wall.
or you just want to see all the other games leading up to it during the day, make your way out there and have a good time. Plus, they got that porch. It's going to be in the 70s on Saturday. It's going to be all right, buddy. Yeah.
And they got a game day special, $16.99, get you 10 wings, fries, and a pitcher of beer.
That doesn't suck.
And some, let's see, $3 Fireball shots. That'll get you messed
Bill
up.
loves Fireballs, buddy. He'll work that into
and then
any
the $5
promotion
apple
if he can.
fritters.
Yeah, I
and
don't know about all the apple
pick up there
fritters,
for your
but
tailgate needs, wings, sandwiches, pretty good food.
Fireball shots at noon are dangerous for an 8 o'clock game.
Which is a good segue for us because we're going to be doing Fireball shots.
Why are we doing Fireball shots?
I was shocked. And I agreed with you early on. You called the Cat 4, and I think it's kind of borderline, but yeah, you're right. It's not quite because you remember the atmosphere around Oklahoma a few years ago. That was a true Cat 5.
And you can't just be willy-nilly throwing around Cat 5s. I mean, that cheapens the meaning.
But you
of
on the Jeff Cameron show on Wednesday, you went ahead and declared the Cat 5 maintained.
That's right. There you go. There's the sound effect, and look at that. That's high tech.
See,
that
bring
occurred.
It to the Man Cave
that's
show.
what
We're
we do
all about
right
that.
there. Just the holding up of the phone. It occurred. It occurred because I think it's true, and I should rally all of you out there watching this because game day is coming on Saturday, and that part was already true, but we didn't know Jameis was suspended, so. Sean McGuire needs your help.
Needs your drunk
Sean
ass
McGuire
to
needs
the stadium
you to be
loud and
unruly,
obnoxious.
Loud, carrying the day on defense. Perhaps you even bring a sign to game day saying Sean McGuire needs our help. Because he does, and it'll be interesting to see how he plays. But he could be helped out by the group there in the stands on game day if they get an early start, 8 a.m. tailgating. Be careful. You don't want to face down in the bushes. There's no way to help out Sean McGuire. That's not what you do.
That's true, and that's
where
the maintain comes in.
Cat 5 maintain. Get your fun on, but I need you.
If you go 12 hours of tailgating and you're doing it right and you make it to the game and you're loud, I'm proud of you. That's something. But you do have to, I don't care if you're 18. You shouldn't be drinking if you're 18, of course.
Sure.
But if you're 21, I should say, or 61, you've got to maintain. You just can't. There's no way to keep up with it.
61-year-olds who can't maintain are the best. But I will say this. You need a deft touch, my friends. 12 hours of tailgate takes a special sort of alcoholism that has to run in your family. Perhaps you reach down deep.
But we know there's some trade secrets to this, Jeff, and we're going to share some trade secrets today. My big one is you mix in the water. If
you got to mix in the water.
If you hydrate, it's going to be hot. Hydrate the whole time, and then there's also you got to keep eating. That's a beautiful thing about tailgating. There's always good food at tailgating.
Yeah, this isn't the time to be timid, Gene. You got to eat often, and you got to pound water.
Heavy, greasy sausage, that kind of thing. That's what you do right there.
Well, and you do the night before some pasta. Let that sit on your stomach a little bit there. You get some bread to get the sauce. You got to do it upright to make sure you got a base. And then I would suggest to you this, that if you feel yourself getting a little unruly and it's only noon or it's 1 o'clock, tell your friends, lie if you have to, that you've got to go walk
I was going to get into this.
Yeah, were you? Yeah.
Tell
your friends you got to go to talk to another friend.
On a beer run.
On a beer run or another tailgate, whatever it might be. It doesn't matter the lie. They're drunk too. They don't know. You go, you do your thing, you hang out, you relax a little bit, you get evened out. Then you come back and you get it on again.
See, I was going to go one step further on that. I've done this one time before. I'm not going to
go take a nap?
Take a nap. Oh, come back, take a little power snooze, sleep some of it off.
That's the 61-year-old.
I'm closer to 61 than 21, unfortunately, so that's the way I roll. But yeah, if you're an older dude and you want to get out there at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm down with that. Party your butt off. Noon, 1 o'clock, get back, take an hour or two nap, and get back and start over again.
Well, there are other games on, Gene, and you got to see some of those games. So you go, hey, I'm going to go check in with Johnny. I'll be back in a little bit. I'll see you then. You power nap, you come back, ready to roll.
And the other fun thing about this weekend, let's face it, I mean, we talked about earlier, Clemson is a rival. And the good thing about rivalries, there's always something fun, some way to make fun of them. And, you go back to Florida and some of how bad they were, and Muschamp making fun of him. Miami just because they're idiot fans. And
well, we currently just dominate them,
Well, that too, and that's kind of fun. But let's face it, with Clemson, there's Dabo Swinney. He's, let's face it, a little bit of a buffoon. But every time you kind of want to like the guy, he does something like, well, if FSU and Florida State played 10 times, they'd split the game.
Oh, if Clemson and Florida State played, they'd split it 5-5. Yeah.
So I mean, you kind of want to dislike this guy.
Well, I think it's easy to dislike him in this sense. It's an innocent dislike. It's not the disdain that you have for certain coaches like Urban Meyer's a bad guy, whereas Dabo Swinney's dumb. You know, there's a big difference. You know, with Dabo, he's a girl who cheerleads and wears his little sweatshirt and slaps 5 with the fans as he makes his way into the stadium. You know, that's just silly and fun. But he's not a bad guy. He's not sinister. He's just goofy. And it's a good thing that they pay their assistants multi-million-dollar contracts to help carry them.
They should pay them more than him,
that way, well, yeah, they're close to doing so. So, you know, good for Dabo, though. You know, he somehow made it work. I mean, he's kept his job for an awful long time despite really not being much of a coach.
And you know, one of the things I like, it's not a Florida State thing, but I like the way Spurrier owns him and that little duel they had.
It's not much of a duel, is it? It's just a
was it 5 in a row for South Carolina over him, and he always gets him, and I enjoy that part of it. And I love him. He hasn't done it as much lately, and I miss that. Remember, he used to just start screaming at like reporters and stuff in the middle of interviews.
He would scream at reporters. He chest bumps fans.
Yes.
I mean, sir.
And then the Clemson fans. I mean, that's the thing. They remind me a little bit of Georgia fans that they think they're a lot better than they really are.
They are, but I'm going to forgive both because I'll take the rabid fanaticism over complacency or bandwagon anytime. For example, Miami doesn't have any fans, and that's the joke, right? We make fun of Miami fans because they don't exist. Clemson has real fans who are loyal even when their team's not any good. I give them credit for that. They do believe their team is of note, of which they seldom are. But they believe it, and they're there, and they're vocal.
Even you get the guys, what was a few years ago on ESPN, the night game, the 2 guys were crying in the stands all by themselves, and they keep showing them over and over and over again.
And they're used to being bitterly disappointed. Every time their team is thought to be something that it isn't, then West Virginia happens in the Orange Bowl.
Or they lose 52 to, well, it should have been 52-7. Let's
51, wasn't it?
51.
Was it 51-52? We lost track. They were scoring so many
It
points. It was tough. It was over at halftime, so I lost interest too. That part was also fun because I was down on the field as it occurred, and right by the 50-yard line, the Clemson fans who had been yelling at the Florida State bench midway through the second quarter began to turn on their own team. And it was fantastic. You had fans who were once just lampooning Florida State players, yelling at their own players. This is what happens. This is what happens when you play a real team, losers. And they're wearing Clemson garb. It was glorious. Yeah, so
good times. So hopefully we'll have some of that to look forward to this Saturday and years down the road. Well, that concludes
Sean McGuire needs your help.
Yes, he does. The Warchant Man Cave Show, sponsored by Jimmy John's, and we will be back with a little golf challenge. I mean, we're due to play a little putting thing here. I think I've got to defend my title here.
You do.
And see
that one there.
Talking
smack before the break.
Absolutely. Well, plus our picks. There's some good games this week. We've got to figure out. We've got to check the latest line on Florida State. I saw it was
dropped by 4.
Is it 16, 17?
It went down to 16.
I'm surprised it didn't go down further, frankly.
Well, because they figured he'll be back in the second half to ride out the victory.
We'll see. All right, we'll be back in the Warchant Man Cave Show.
What's not to love about the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill? The Corner Pocket is Tallahassee's home for the best of the sports world. NFL, NCAA, MLB, and NBA. The games are always on. The food is always fresh, and the drinks are always cold. And now games are even bigger and brighter with the Corner Pocket's new state-of-the-art Vegas wall, featuring 8 brilliant 55-inch HD TVs showing the biggest games. Whatever the season, check out the Corner Pocket's microbar, serving up the freshest craft brews for you and your friends. Be sure to drop in for Beer Bingo Tuesdays, weekly dart tournaments, daily poker tournaments, and Saturday sit-and-goes. From golden tea to garnet and gold, the Corner Pocket has everything inside its bar and outside on the full-service deck. Before the game, call and ask about tailgate and party specials. The Corner Pocket will serve up your favorite foods hassle-free. Call 850-574-2724. That's 574-2724. The Corner Pocket has it all. Drop by for happy hour today. You'll see why Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Welcome back to the Warchant Man Cave Show. We are sponsored by Jimmy John's, Freaky Good and Freaky Fast, with 3 locations on campus, and they're up till 3 a.m. Get your Jimmy John's on. And I know Jeffrey's been practicing here for a while.
Well, the hat, you just put the hat down. You messed me up here.
That threw you off. Just the hat.
Are we ready to go? We ready to go? Here we go.
You get 3 putts.
Okay, well, this is my first.
Jeff's going. I'm going to talk about ESPN Game Day. It's ESPN Game Day again.
Boom!
I think this is the 29th
that works.
time
they're
at a Florida State game. 10th time in Tallahassee. covering Florida State. Now, last year, Jeff, we made our debut on game day.
We did. Boats and Hose, man.
Boats and Hose.
Good time.
That guy's still not.
I don't know if that's
appropriate to get his free subscription.
I don't know if that's appropriate, Gene. But
that's true in the context of this.
Yeah, Boats and Hose
might
action.
Sound a little bad, but if you can get Jeff and I up there again, I'll throw you out another year.
Hey,
we got a
two
Warchant
things.
T-shirt
Can I put this in there too? The first one is. However we get in there again is a great thing. You decide. But the other one is we need a Sean McGuire needs our help sign.
Jeff's on that one. Sean McGuire needs our help.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gene will give you a free subscription for that.
Sure,
one too.
I'll throw you something. And you're of age, I'll buy you a beer if you're of age. Get that out there. But drink responsibly.
Oh, 1 for 2.
All right, now game day signs. Jeff, always a great time. That's one of my favorite parts. You know, Corso has his antics. That's great.
I can't say my favorite game day sign.
I know. There's a lot of them you can't say.
There's
Is
one
this
that's
the Samantha Ponder one?
No. It was one about Corso that was just fantastic. It was blunt and to the point. By the way, last year's game day was it during the Clemson game that Bill Murray body slammed?
Yes.
That's my favorite moment.
Yeah, that was
in
something.
history.
And talking to the sports information people there, you think it was scripted? Pretty much not. They were pretty much shocked at the way that went down. But yeah, the biggest, what I love about this too is the fails.
Okay, 2 of 3.
The fails on signs. And we had a very good one last week, and of all the fans,
Gator fans, imagine that.
The Gator fan with the strong sign. Now, you want to talk about the easiest target in college sports is Jameis Winston. It would be so easy with all the crab legs and everything else to make a funny sign. He comes up with strong.
Yeah, you could argue there's an element of racism involved in that for starters, but I know we don't want to go down that road. Yeah.
Just not.
It's
good.
all right.
All right, you made
not
2 out of 3.
surprising,
I'll let you do the picks, and I've got a match 2 out of 3. I think that's your best start, Jeff. I think you've done mostly 1 out of 3 on this, right?
Yeah, well, no, the first year we did it, Gene, I was nearly impeccable.
But you did not win.
Easily forgotten, I understand. Now we got picks, so let's get to them. Here we go. Well, in light of circumstances, sir, Florida State -17 against Clemson.
Well, I want to go with them with 20. I was going to take Clemson with that. I'm definitely going to take Clemson. I mean, I think FSU wins, but that's just a lot of points.
It is, and we're both going to take Clemson in the points at this point.
FSU wins, but no.
Auburn Thursday night -9 against Kansas State.
What do you like there, Jeff?
I'm going to take Auburn to cover the -9. I think they win comfortably.
Oh, it didn't break anymore.
That's a miss.
The break is gone. I played the break.
This is your course, too.
Well, that's where the warm-up helped you. Yeah, the warm-up helped you.
You should know your own course.
All right, so I'm going to go with Auburn on that one.
I am as well. Alabama -15 against Florida, and the Roper Road to offensive explosion failed me last weekend against Kentucky, so I'm going to hold back my love for Kurt Roper.
Yeah, you were doing that. You were beating that Florida drum for a while.
Well, I was beating the Kurt Roper Road to offensive explosion. But how disappointing was he in a lucky win against Kentucky? Oh, Gene, you stay alive. You better make this one, or else it's
they put a little pressure on you.
Yeah, I'm just saying you got to make this one. So as it is,
I go with Alabama too.
We're both taking Alabama to win comfortably over Florida. Nebraska against the Canes.
Easy.
Miami
Easy
on the
money.
road, -7.5. Yeah, but Bo Pelini loses 4 games every year, and there's usually a stinker in there. Miami could rally with the young Mr. Kaya. No chance.
No.
All right, we'll both take Nebraska to win the game.
I can't believe we hardly ever agree on everything.
I know. So far we are. All right, Virginia Tech, though, the vaunted Hokies.
Hokey.
What a return to form as they lose last.
On the back edge,
you lucky son of a gun.
Jeff's like
that. Actually,
you thought I was past the hole. You're like, it's over.
Yeah, that's because it's a nonsense. It's just, but anyhow, so Virginia Tech loses to East Carolina, and it's back to norm. What do we think here against Georgia Tech -9?
What's the line? God, I can't. I hate picking Paul Johnson, but I'm going to go with Georgia
Fighting
Tech.
Paul Johnson,
yeah, can't stand that guy.
Man.
Georgia Tech's going to win their 8 games and get into a bowl game like they do every year, and I think they can.
I missed it.
He almost got the return on the hat.
Boy,
now, that would have been. I would have automatically.
That's
won.
a disappointing effort there. You've got this. It's over. I've lost.
Oh!
Gene's won the.
So what are you going with on that one, Jeff?
It's a simple putt. It's over. You know, I hate both teams, not personally, but I don't think much of them as a whole in terms of quality. And Gene,
the wraparound.
This nonsense here has to
Here
stop.
it has to go.
My man's freaking banking putts in here. This is under protest. But having said that, I'll take Virginia Tech, and I don't feel comfortable with it because they're both shoddy at best.
Yeah, at least I took.
You know what they are? They're very much
Georgia Tech, so we've got one.
Okay, we got one different?
Yeah.
Thank you, Jimmy Johns. Thank you, Corner
Yes.
Pocket. Thank you for watching,
Jimmy Johns,
guys.
Freaky Fast. Check them out. Thanks for
Good
tuning
stuff.
in, guys.
Thank you, Unmentionables.
Check out Jeff Cameron, 3 to
Thank
6
you, Tom
Monday through
Lang.
Friday. And on, if you're listening, you'll be on, what, Mike and Mike tomorrow?
I will tomorrow morning very early. Don't worry about it.
So no one will be up. No one who watches this show gets up that early.
No, I'll be doing national TV that nobody will see.
All right. Good night, folks.